Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central, as we get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on the good old radio. That's iacradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can also find us on television, 182 Charter. Another way you can find us is in syndication. That's on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget to podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails. I get flooded with emails every time this lady's on the show with me. And we're going to be answering some of those questions too. But now she's got some deep stuff she wants to talk to us about. And I'm just telling you, I'm in there with you. I am a conspiracy theorist, and I'm proud of it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get a hat and start wearing it on the show that says, I'm a proud conspiracy theorist.
Well, you get two of them because I need the one too.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I love the daylights out of you. I really do. And one reason I love, first of all, we're good friends.
Yeah.
But I love it because you tell the truth and you don't spit shine it and try to make it look like something else. And I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it's the only way I know. That's the way I roll.
And that's the way our viewers are seeing you too. You've got more friends and more association than you think you do, Ann.
Oh,
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, be careful what they wish for.
Well, you're going to get it today.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. So I've been puzzled since the hurricane. Okay. I remember back in the olden days when I was in school, they actually taught you reading, writing, and arithmetic, which is a good thing. It's a core basis for your education. You'll learn lots. You'll have a lot more common sense when you start teaching that again to kids. Okay. So I definitely remember a student asked what was the difference between, and this is Miss Anderson in fourth grade. So a student asked our teacher, Miss Anderson, what's the difference between a hurricane and a tornado? Well, she was talking about the tornado, how basically it's land. Its velocity actually speeds up due to land mass, and it will jump over things. It will make damage. Your neighbor down the road may not get any damage, and then the one across the street may lose their home. Then she went into the explanation of a hurricane, and this was back in the 60s, okay? So the explanation was this. Okay, everything develops on the water. And it starts losing its velocity once it hits land, and it starts hitting terrain, trees, mountains, all this kind of stuff. It starts losing it. But what happened in Asheville, North Carolina, which is really close to where I used to live in Charlotte, and in Hendersonville, my son's in-laws live there. It was weird. The whole thing just did not make any sense whatsoever. Not that a hurricane is supposed to. What am I reading into this?
You're not reading anything into it. This hurricane, if in fact it did the same thing Milton is doing now. When it crossed into the Gulf, there's an area in the Gulf. It's kind of right smack in the middle, to be honest, maybe a little bit on the lower Gulf, where there's rumors that there's actually a underwater electromagnetic pulse factory or whatever they call those things. So, which strengthens a hurricane. A hurricane drags in water and it starts spinning like a tornado, and the winds, and it has what is called an eye, and the winds are stronger. The smaller the eye is, the stronger the winds. And the winds are always stronger on the right side or the east side of a hurricane. But when a hurricane hits land, even if it goes in, several miles, 20, 30, 40 miles, the eye falls apart. And all you have left are the winds and the rain. The difference in Helene is the eye never fell apart until it hit the mountains. That is almost impossible through the force of nature. So when the eye hits the mountains, it dumped 11, 12, 20 inches of rain because North Carolina was on the east side of that hurricane. So, you asked me about Atlanta. So Atlanta was on the west side of the hurricane, and yes, they got damage. In fact, was it Villa Rica or whatever? Not Villa Rica, but the city in the south of Georgia that was damaged, but it wasn't destroyed. They caught some of the high winds.
Mm-hmm.
But when it hit those mountains and dumped all that water, and with that high wind, because it was still up in the over 100 miles an hour, and dumped 11 to 20 inches of rain,
mm-hmm.
it flooded. It flooded the lakes, it flooded the rivers, it flooded the creeks, and it seemed to be all in that one spot where that Kings Mountain lithium mine is, and there's a quartz mine there as well. It's further south from Kings Mountain. Kings Mountain, you can't get to it right
Mm-hmm.
now. Well, BlackRock, who owns everything in the United States, like 90-something% of everything, wants that mine, and the people around that mine had refused to sell their property. And the same with the quartz. Now, we're hearing all sorts of rumors about FEMA going in there saying we're just going to bulldoze. I mean, Chimney Rock was flat destroyed. You can't get there. The roads are gone, everything. We're just going to bulldoze, and you're not going to be able to rebuild. I talked to Gary Palmer, my congressman, Sunday night. I was at a Jefferson County Republican Party dinner, and he said all of that is untrue. But however, we keep getting all these messages out. My friend Micah Messer has a fixed wing plane actually flew up there delivering supplies and doing drops. And he's telling me that what they say, that FEMA's going in there with bulldozers saying you can't come back, you no longer own this land, is true. So until it all falls out, we won't know. But that leads me to the latest one, Milton. It was 100 miles an hour on the water until it hit that spot. And it went from 100 to 175 in less than an hour, miles an hour. Cat 5, from a Cat 1 to a Cat 5 in less than an hour. So all you have to do is watch the Weather Channel and think, how in the heck did that happen? Because it usually takes time coming across the Gulf to suck up the warm water.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not this one. So now it's backing down. I think the last time I looked, it was at 150, which is still nothing to sneeze at. And they say it'd probably be 125 when it hits land. But let's watch to see what this eye does, because it's going to go straight across, is what they're telling us. It's not going to take that weird turn that Helene did and go into North Carolina. We'll see what this one does, because there are a lot of people who are talking about this being an abnormal behavior of that hurricane. Mm-hmm. Also, if there was a video with the lake, one of the lakes there, that had the waves jumping up and down into pointed peaks, which is an electromagnetic pulse. If you go online, you can look at the experiments done in 1980 when electromagnetic pulses were applied to water. It's the exact same mm-hmm. thing that lake was doing. Another thing, they're having square waves in the Gulf.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yes, so ma'am. Square waves and square clouds. The other night I stepped outside right before Helene hit, and the clouds were like, I'll tell you what it looked like. It looked like a baking sheet of those little squares rolls that you put the ham and all that and make those, the little, what do they call those?
Croissant kind of stuff.
No, it's not croissant. It's, let's just say Hawaiian rolls.
Okay.
The clouds look like Hawaiian rolls. They were square, lined up all across the sky. And I'm thinking, man, I've never seen that kind of thing. And the moon has been missing for 3 nights. I went outside because one of the guys sent me a message saying, go find your moon. For 3 nights, I haven't been able to see the moon with a clear sky. I don't know what the heck's going on. And like, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to get a tinfoil hat. So I asked my daughter, I said, what time does it say moonrise is today? 12:15 p.m. I went, wait, what? 12:15 p.m. was moonrise. I said, Wendy, that's in the middle of the day. That's not a.m., which is at midnight. That's p.m., middle of the day. Very strange happenings. So y'all need to watch that hurricane's eye. Hurricane eyes are supposed to dissipate when they hit land, and what is left is the wind and the water. We'll see what this one does.
I've got to ask you a question. Okay, so this pertains to FEMA. First of all, you and I have a mutual friend. This is Philip Gilliland, who's with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. And any disaster, any way they can help a community, whatever, they come in with chuck wagons, they come in with water, they come in, they feed people. It's what they do as a ministry.
Right.
And they hand out flyers. They don't spend time preaching to people. They just want to feed them. And they just want them to know that they're taken care of. Okay, so Philip called me or sent me a message, and he was really upset on Monday because he'd been up to Tennessee and with a bunch of water and canned goods and stuff like that to give people, which is a ministry, is what they do.
Right.
FEMA had been confiscating anything that came from a church and didn't want to let them through.
Right.
Now, there's a sheriff up in Tennessee, seems like my kind of a sheriff, who put a stop to it with FEMA. He's going to wind up being, crucified, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, FEMA was not getting anything to the people, but the churches were coming in with it. I mean, there they were. How can you explain that?
Well, when I talked to Gary Palmer the other night, he said, oh, no, none of that is happening. And I said, Gary, I have people up there who are telling me these things because they know I recognize and realize what's actually going on, and they want me to get it out. And he said, well, I spoke to Samaritan's Purse, and they tell me that they're not having any problems. And I said, well, that's good for them. But have you talked to Micah Messer? He's from Alabama, and he's up there. Have you talked to other people who have had? And here's the note, people. FEMA does not have the power to stop you from going into that area. They don't have that power. And if you tell them no, what are they going to do to you? We're, just like all these other people, the Cajun Navy that went in there with the mules. FEMA tried to stop them, and they told them no. The helicopters not being able to land, going to keep that guy from going to get his son and another lady. He did it anyway, but they said, well, we'll arrest you. Well, what he should have done was let them arrest him and then sue the heck out of him. FEMA doesn't have the power to tell you no if you want to go help your neighbors. They don't have that kind of power. Those people just think they do. They don't.
Okay, let me ask a really simple Simon question from old simple Simon Donna here. Why would you not want people to help? Wouldn't you want to be taking all the assistance you could possibly get to help? This is devastation here.
What has the federal government told them? I guess, what are their instructions? Who's telling them this? And until you find out and get to the bottom of where that attitude is coming from. Just like Pete Buttigieg told those people, you can't fly your drones, private drones. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of. And they jumped all over him. Of course, he had to back down. He doesn't have the right to tell you that you can't fly your drones. Well, they had to stop airspace because stupid Biden and Harris went in there in the middle of rescue operations. So they shut down the airways and had to delay all those operations that were going on. I mean, I'm getting it's unbelievable what our stupid government is doing, but we know why. Because the longer they delay, the more people won't be able to come out alive and keep their property, because the hardest hits they haven't even gotten to yet.
I'm fearful of this one. I think this is going to make history.
I also got a message from a person that said it's going to be thousands because there's already 1,000 bodies in the hospital that they haven't even reported. They say 227. Well, add 1,000 to it because the one hospital that was operational is full of deceased people.
It would be. Let me ask you another question. I'm going to get back to this hurricane again. Okay, so I know it sounds like I'm watching too many sci-fi movies and all this kind of stuff, but this makes sense to me. Okay, so I know that, I'll give you an example. Okay, so we bought the farm my granddad bought back in the 1930s. I definitely remember this. Back a long time ago, this is in the 1960s, boys that were in an FHA, well, I don't even know if they have a FHA anymore, they should. But anyway, the boys would make pledges that they would plant so many pine trees on the land. Well, my granddad gave in. He said, okay, son, you can plant 30 pine trees on this one particular acre. And so he did. So they planted pine, and my granddad was hoping they wouldn't live, I think. But anyway, every single one of them lived. Okay, planting these 50 pine trees actually affected the weather in this little corner of the world. Let me tell you how he did it. Okay, so there's a front porch, and you can always say this front porch, it didn't matter if it was 200 degrees outside, there was always a wind, there's always a breeze blowing.
Right.
Well, when they planted the trees filtered and prevented the wind from blowing onto this front porch. So my grandmother got fed up with it and said, I don't want all these trees here anyway. So they went on ahead and had all the trees removed. Then you could feel the breeze again. It was just odd how there are little things that we can do to the terrain that will affect, not huge, but it will affect the weather and how the wind blows coming to your house on your front porch. You can enjoy the front porch setting. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there are, it's just common sense to me. Maybe I'm wacko, but I'm just saying God made the weather. But now man also wants to get involved in the weather. We've been hearing about, it's either too hot, it's too cold. We've been hearing about this for decades, and people are making bukus of money off of it. This didn't feel, I know God doesn't make, things affect the atmosphere. That's why you get tornadoes and hurricanes and that kind of thing. But there's something that just seems so out of sort. There's something that seems something is wrong with this picture.
Yeah, there's something wrong with this one. And you may be able to see it in Milton. I'm not sure that they would do two in a row. And there are, I can't remember, I was reading something about how many patents there are to control the weather. I think it was like 127 patents have been given out for weather control. So here's my deal. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Has it really changed? I don't think so. I remember back when I was in high school, it was 80 degrees on Thanksgiving Day one time. I mean, that was 50 years ago? Well, more than 50 years ago. I don't think the weather constantly changes. They said
That's why we have 4 seasons. I mean,
exactly.
we have winter, spring, summer, fall. I mean, that's a natural occurrence. But I'm like you. I remember when I was a kid, my granddad, all in this dining room we've got in here, there's a fireplace in it. I don't care if it was 90 degrees outside. He still thought at Christmas Day you had to have a fire in that.
Well, I agree. Yeah, right.
But what I'm talking about, isn't that a normal thing? I mean,
it's this whole climate change. Well, they can't even call it warming, global warming, because the global warming stopped in 1980. Yeah, we went through a period where it was warmer for a while, but then I read where it stopped in 1980. So that's why they had to change it to climate change, because it's no longer warming. But, the Earth has had many different climate cycles where sometimes it's warm, sometimes we had an ice age one time. I mean, it just happens. And it's not man-made because it happened thousands of years ago. So, but this was not normal from the beginning to the end. Never. And I've read a bunch of articles about it. All of the scientists are saying never have they seen a hurricane keep its eye after crossing the land.
You just made a huge point. You just made a huge point. Okay, so Phil's birthday was last week, and we couldn't go out of town yet because we were busy with the station and the shows and all that. But we did take Wednesday off. So we went to Cathedral Caverns. And so the tour guide's only being told what they're told to say. I know I'm a wacko because I don't think the world is millions of years old and all this kind of stuff. And I think God created it in 7 days and the whole works. Okay, and literally, whatever it says, I think happened. Okay, so he was telling us that it took like millions of years, and it's a beautiful cave. I encourage anybody to go look at it. It's just awesome. So you would look in the cave. It was huge, and so he would point out, this took millions of years to happen. This took millions of years to happen. I mean, that's what he was doing throughout the whole cave. And I didn't argue the point with him.
I wasn't there, so how do we know the truth?
And then the Bible, God does say a day. With him, time is a continuous.
Right.
So with him, a day is 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a day. So who knows? It could be.
Who knows?
But here's my point. There was a great flood that happened with Noah.
Yes.
And we just saw a fraction of what a great flood could do. So imagine a great flood actually hitting the world, the world, the earth. So imagine that happening. I could see where in 40 days and 40 nights, where a huge flood would cause, where it used to be barren land, water there is now. And what used to be maybe a long time ago was the ocean. Now there's dry land on it. We can see how that, because this hurricane is going to change the dynamics of Asheville, North Carolina. It's not
absolutely. No, it
that's
will
just
not.
One night.
Yeah, absolutely. That land will be forever changed.
It's not going to look the same at all.
Nope, it's not. So.
Something I just now thought about is the Biltmore. Have you heard anything that's happened?
Yeah, the Biltmore Village was flooded, but Biltmore, the house, had very little damage. They had a couple of tree damage and some wind damage, but the village right outside, where they have all the shops and everything, it was flooded, I think about 4 or 5 feet, and it's not even close to water. So, but Biltmore did okay.
That's wild how that stayed. So you're going to get me off on another tangent on that, but I won't. I'll
might as well not.
Might as well. Have you ever been to the McDonald's there in Nashville?
I have not. I've been to Asheville one time when I went to Biltmore. And so, I don't do McDonald's anyway. So
this one is different. And so what happened was, they wanted to put a McDonald's there, and they said no, because we don't want to mess up the look of the Biltmore and all that kind of stuff. So the only way they would let them do it is to let it look kind of like a little Biltmore.
Yeah.
And they did. It's phenomenal. Of course, it flooded. They're going to have to do something about that building now. But yeah, we went, and I told, they even had a fireplace with a fire.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, this is a McDonald's? This is a Mickey D's? And
I was trying to remember where I was, and it may have been North Carolina, where I walked into a Jack's, and a Jack's had a fireplace, which I thought was kind of strange.
Well, if anything's around the Biltmore had to be like the Biltmore, similar to, had to be like on the same wave of that. Yeah. Let's go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show's already over?
No, I can't.
So we're going to be right back. No, we got more stuff we got to talk about.
Right.
Y'all hang in there. We'll be right back. Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show where truth matters. And even though it sounds weird and wacky and all that kind of stuff, we got to get the truth out there. At least get you to think, okay? Just think about possibilities. And if you think about things that could be happening, maybe we could stop it from happening. Ann Eubank is with me right now, my very dear friend, and I appreciate you more than ever. You just don't know.
Thank you. I love you too.
Well, we're both wackos together, I guess.
Yeah, we are.
But you know, so a lot of these things that you've been talking about for a decade now, that, you know, people are going, oh, I don't know about that, Ann. I don't know. They're happening.
Mm-hmm. Everything. I was telling somebody, like Sunday night, I had 3 legislators in my sights. Yeah. So I was talking to them about this Innovate Alabama and working for Alabama and sustainable development. What was going on with the globalists, because it's all connected. And the fact that BlackRock wants to take over King Mountain mine and the quartz mine, and they're a big part of the globalists along with Vanguard. So I was listening to Tom DeWeese, and if you have not listened to Tom DeWeese on YouTube about the sustainable development, the UN and the WEF working together to do this, it's like a blueprint of what happened in North Carolina, of how they're now going to go in and take that land or redevelop it, just like what they're doing in Alabama with these regions that they have set up, the innovative districts that they have set up, because they're going to redesign those districts for a global governance. So everybody keeps saying, well, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Well, I beg to differ, because I can connect the dots. Obama's bill that was passed in 2014, the WIOA, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, is straight out of the United Nations Agenda 2030, and include with it the WEF's global takeover of all of the resources, because right now they're working together. Mm-hmm. So North Carolina has 2 resources that are extremely scarce. Probably the one of 2 lithium mines is in Kings Mountain, and the biggest quartz mine in the nation is a little bit further south in North Carolina. So those people wouldn't sell. So what do you do when you have a hurricane that comes across the Gulf and intensifies, hits land, and instead of doing what normal hurricanes do, it took a left-hand turn into North Carolina completely intact? Almost never happened before. What are we doing now with Innovate Alabama? They're working with Apollo Foundation. Apollo Foundation is a UN non-governmental organization, NGO. Connect the dots, people. And I know those good old guys and those hillbillies and those rednecks up there in Tennessee and in the Appalachian Mountains, they know something is wrong. Mm-hmm. They know, we all know something is wrong. And I think this is going to cost the Democrats and the government a whole lot more than what they expected. So we're talking about, how are those people going to vote in 28 days? The governor of North Carolina is doing nothing. The Secretary of State of North Carolina saying, well, we mailed out ballots. Well, excuse me, the houses are gone, much less the stupid mm-hmm. mail. Mm-hmm. Now, Tennessee is a different story, because they didn't get as hit. Just, that corner up there in Tennessee got hit pretty bad. But North Carolina is a swing state. Mm-hmm. The area that got hit was mostly, I would say, Republican. But, I've done door to door in North Carolina.
In that particular area, Asheville is highly liberal.
Yeah. So, like I was going to say, I've been door to door. There's a whole bunch of Democrats up there. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, you don't know how people are going to vote nowadays. The question is, in 28 days, will they be allowed to vote? So, was this hurricane the October surprise that we were all worried about?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen now between now and November the 5th?
Mm-hmm. I think you just hit the nail on the head.
I mean,
really
hey, I can connect dots. I'm not stupid. Plus the fact that I spend every single day researching this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't wait for the government to take care of you, because they're not going to.
They just proved they won't.
They're not going to take care of you.
Illegals are getting how much money? They don't have to wait. I mean, the second
$3,000 for illegals, a place to live, a car, a free phone, and you give the American citizens $750?
That will go nowhere when you've just lost your home.
Well, what are you going to do with it? You can't get anywhere. Here's the other thing. I don't know if y'all saw Peter Ducey ask the great Corrine, whatever her name is, in the White House, why did you just give Lebanon $350 million when FEMA is saying they don't have any money? Mm-hmm. She got so mad she walked out because she didn't know how to answer that question.
Why? Like she always does. She never answers a question anyway. All they do is from the same playbook. All they do is laugh at you.
Yep. Laugh and lie, or lie and laugh, whichever one they do first. So why are we as Americans putting up with this? Why are we allowing Alabama to have a dadgum solar farm, which, by the way, causes massive heat and kills animals? We have one in North Alabama. Governor Ivey's so proud.
Where's this at?
It's up there towards Huntsville, when you're going close to the Tennessee River somewhere. I've never been there, but she is so proud of it.
It sounds like Lacey Springs.
I don't know.
That area. Okay. And let me tell you something else, like excessive heat will also kill your garden, your vegetation.
Oh, yeah,
garden.
Absolutely. We have had a massive, here in central Alabama, we have had a massive drought. We went 3 weeks without a drop of rain. We're again into the second week. Of course, we got just a little bit of rain from Helene. Just very little. Mm-hmm. And we haven't had any rain since. So, massive drought in this area. I don't know how y'all are doing up there because...
Well, we've got some rain, but the thing about it is it will look, and I remember back in the olden days when I was growing up, I keep going back to that, but if you saw a rain cloud, it rained.
Yeah.
We get these rain clouds, but nothing comes out of them.
That's exactly right. I can watch them go across. I live on top of this mountain, and for some reason, they go behind my house. I don't know if it's topography. The black clouds go behind my house, and they never rain on me. So you were talking about the topography. Buildings also cause. If you remember the bad tornado that tore up Tuscaloosa and came towards Birmingham, the only reason that it didn't tear up downtown Birmingham was because they had taken off the top of the mountain over in Oak Grove to build houses. Mm-hmm. And it followed where they had taken the top of the mountain off instead of straight through downtown Birmingham, mm-hmm. which is where it was headed. I used to live right where 459 and I-59 split. And we were always, any tornado coming from Tuscaloosa came straight down 59. Mm-hmm. And so it had to decide, is it going to go 459 or is it going I-59? Well, when they started doing all the construction over there, it always took I-59. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of that with a tornado.
When you're building cities, because I'm going back, a lot of folks are saying, oh, this stuff is just now happening. But I'm going back and I'm looking at other things. I'm remembering back in the 80s with the sightings at UFOs in Fife, Alabama. I definitely remember all of that. And LaRue Hardinger, she's been on the show several times. You've met LaRue. She's 14. Yeah. And she used to work for the Gadsden Times, and she was a reporter there. And so she told me she said, I can't say what it was. She said, I don't know. I wasn't there. But she said, she talked to reputable people. I mean, she didn't talk to bullcrappers. She talked to people like literally like the cream of the crop. And they were, she said, they were almost embarrassed to talk to her because they were afraid they were going to be labeled as a wacko. So they just, and she said, but they said, I can't explain it. Something.
Yeah. Yeah. There, the government has so many things that we have no idea and even no comprehension of things that they can do. I've actually seen videos of that sound wave machine used on crowd control because it's so devastating. So I know they have that possibility of being able to do that. So the thing that makes America so different is private property rights. And until we stand up and for our private property rights, all of this globalism will keep happening. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's driving it. They want the property and they can't get it because people are refusing to give it to them. So they're going to do things like innovative Alabama, innovative districts. You see that word, run for the hills. Mm-hmm. But we have got to stand up and say, because all of these things that our legislature is doing, which I was talking to with our legislators, is you're taking away private property rights. And we've become a corporatist, not a capitalist country. The corporations run our country. It's not free market capitalism anymore. It's all about big business and corporations.
Okay, let's talk about what Kamala wants to happen. And I'm going to refer to her remarks about capital gains.
No way.
Is that just another little spoke in the wheel to take your property away from you?
No way will she ever get that passed.
I don't know.
No way. That is, let me tell you why she won't. Is because there's too many rich people sitting in Congress and it will never get done. When you have to pay taxes on unrealized money, hello, that ain't going to happen to those rich people. Uh-huh. So that will never happen. Never happen.
Unless they find a way, and they will, they're looking at it right now. Unless they find a way to do something with their wealth.
Well, that or exclude themselves. They've done that before.
Okay, do you think they go to the same type doctors we go to?
I know some of them do.
Are some of them on Obamacare? Do they have we still have Obamacare. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, so.
Yeah, we do have Obamacare. Just like we still have Common Core.
Yes, we do. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so do they have the type of insurance we have? Is it the same thing?
They have the best of what Obamacare has. I remember I asked one of the congressmen, did they have to pay for their Obamacare insurance or were they allowed private insurance? Uh-huh. And he said, my insurance costs $5,000 a month, but I have the best Obamacare. Yeah. It's not free. They actually have to pay for it. Yeah, it comes out of there.
Must be some kind of an insurance. $5,000.
Yeah, buddy. Yep. So I I don't know.
Yeah, but I would imagine they don't go $5,000, not get some of it back.
Well, is there a VIP thing in Obamacare? I don't, being on
I don't
Medicare.
know. I'm one of the little wasty people. I don't know.
I'm on Medicare, and I keep having these crazy people call me 5 times a day.
I already have it. Why do you keep calling me?
They want to put you on one of those managed care programs and get you off of Medicare. That's what the government is doing with all those phone calls. Mm-hmm. They would rather pay the managed care less money so that you have less benefits than what you get with Medicare. But see, I also have Blue Cross Blue Shield C+. Mm-hmm. Which handles all the stuff that Medicare doesn't pay. But if you ever get off of Medicare, you will be getting less benefits, period. Mm-hmm. That's just, you think, oh, it's zero, the drugs. No. Come up with a serious disease or have to go in the hospital for something serious and find out what they cover. It is not Medicare Advantage is not regular Medicare. It's totally different. And that's where the government's trying to push everybody because it costs the government less.
Okay, let's quote Ronald Reagan. The government is not here to help you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's only to help the government.
The 9 scariest words in the English language. I'm here from the government to help you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's going to
I'm
help.
from the government and I'm here to help you. Yeah, right. No.
Okay, so let's talk about, we're talking about BlackRock. Okay, so we know that the first assassination attempt to President Trump, this guy had BlackRock written all over him, money all over the place. He was able to travel all over the world and all this at a very young age. Family not wealthy. I mean, they weren't like rich or anything. So where the heck did he get his money? We know something's up about that. But have we heard anything like that about the second?
Both of those would-be assassins were in a BlackRock video together in a schoolroom. I don't remember what they were talking about, but both of them were in a BlackRock video. We haven't heard a whole lot about this second one. They're keeping a lot of that under the wraps. I think they have probably the evidence. This guy was a nutcase, and he'd been in and out of Congress, visiting Congress time and time again, trying to get things done. People who had worked with him in the States said that he was a very radical type person, but then they called me radical, so who am I to say anything about that?
Yeah, but you're not a bad radical.
And that, there was really something wrong with him. So they may try to get him. Well, anybody who tries to kill a presidential candidate's got something wrong with them to begin with. That's just crazy. I mean, what are you thinking? So.
But there's so many questions that are unanswered. Like, okay, this was not a reported thing, President Trump being out on the golf course. None of that was like.
Well, they said he'd been there a month, staking out the golf course. So it just happened he was there the day that Trump decided to go play golf at the last minute. It wasn't on his schedule. But they said he'd been in that area for a month.
Just hoping to catch him. Yeah. Okay. Well, Phil made a great point. I need to start listening to my husband more. So I said, well, I don't get it. It has to be an inside job. Well, one of these days I will. But he was right about this. Yeah. So he said, I said, I don't get it. He's got to have a problem on the inside. There's got to be somebody who's giving out information, whatever. And Phil said, how many times have you talked about, I'd like to have a widget? We'll just say widget. He said, how many times have you said that? 2 minutes later, on your cell phone, you're getting advertisements about
there's a way to fix that, by the way, in your settings. And I can't remember exactly how to do it. I had to go to where you can turn that off in your settings, and that won't happen.
I'll figure it out because this is a little bit too odd.
Oh, it happens all the time, just to everybody. It's not just
even on your laptop.
Oh yeah, but there's a way to turn that off in your settings, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you. Because I turned mine off.
I got to tell you something funny. You're going to get a kick out of this. So you can go to the White House website, okay? The White House.
Well, you have to be careful because there's.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay.
So I pulled Not Thinking, and it was a porn site.
That's right.
Then I started getting porn emails.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was like, I've not been looking at porn sites. Why am I getting this all of a sudden? Well, then I thought, wait a minute. I remember typing in, and boy, I quickly got out of it.
Yeah.
But it didn't take a few seconds. Boy, I started getting crazy emails about porn.
Yes, there's a difference between whitehouse.gov and whitehouse.com and whitehouse.org. So you better make sure you do the right one.
Yeah, but those two are probably more true.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the swamp, when you think about
I don't know. He's gotten pretty. He was on TV today, and I just felt so bad for him. I mean, there's no way on earth he's running this country.
He's never run it. He and Obama both had all the perks of it.
It's just sad. It's
and
just
Kamala
sad.
is hoping for some more of the perks. You know.
Oh, did you hear that the FCC, which by the way, I'm getting my ham radio license, until they got to the megahertz, I was doing okay. So I'm having to work through, and I'm having to work through the megahertz and the bandwidths, as this one does this and this one. So I already know the phonetic alphabet, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, that. But so I'm getting my ham radio license, but I don't know where I was going off. Oh, the FCC has allowed Soros to fast track owning 127 radio stations.
Yeah, he wanted to start with talk radio.
Yeah. That man has no business owning radio stations.
Talk radio is about the only place you get any kind of information.
He's foreign. Foreign entities are not allowed to own radio stations in America. What are they thinking?
Well, now there was a long time ago in the town of Anniston, Oxford, where I grew up. Okay, so Mr. Brant Ayers owned the newspaper, which is nothing but a fluff. But anyway, he's extremely liberal. And his wife owned the Ayers Technical College, and it was just, they owned a bunch of stuff. Well, there was a television station in Anniston on Noble Street.
I know where it was. Been there.
You know what I'm talking about. Well, he wanted to buy that. Mr. Ayers did.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him have it. They said that you could only have so much any kind of media whatsoever, and they wouldn't let him do it. And he wanted that TV station so bad. You heard about him, didn't you? About Mr. Ayers?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, he got sued. What he would do, and this is back from employees back years and years ago. Look at that Brant Ayers, and you'll find this on the internet. Okay. He got into trouble for spanking employees. Yeah. No, I knew him. He bought a bunch of phones from me, but now I think he knew I'd flip him over if he did me that way. So he was always nice to me.
I would I am speechless.
Yeah, look at that Brant Ayers, and yeah. But no, he was. I mean, like every time
and somebody put up with that. What is wrong with Americans?
People are stupid. I would have complained to begin with. You wouldn't have caught me.
Holy cow!
He did. He did that. Really weird.
People are so afraid to lose what they have that they will accept anything.
This old gal is not that way. But I can see where he would do something like that. I could see where he would have, not with me, because he knew I'd knock him out. But anyway, but he knew not to try that with me. I've been in his office several times, just me and him in there. Every time he would take a trip to Africa, he would have to show me pictures. Oh. I'd have to go look at him. He had like all kinds of like lions' heads and all this kind of stuff all in his office, where he'd do a little bit weird. And on his wall, he had like every president of the United States, if it were a Democrat, by the way, a picture with all of the presidents. And it was pretty impressive. But no, he never acted that way with me. But then I think he would, because people like that, they can find weak women
Yes.
And they think if you're weak out, I can do anything I want to do.
No.
And it's a power trip for him.
Yeah. Everybody asks me, you're around all these powerful men all the time. Do they ever hit on you? And I'm like, no, they're not that brave.
They're not that stupid.
They're just not that brave.
I've had stupid relatives acting like I was doing stuff. And I'd be like, no, they don't take me as weak.
Nope. I have this wall, like, go for it, bud. And let me tell you what's going to happen to you when it happens. But no, I've never had anything, but now they'll pat me on the head. But most of them respect the fact that.
Yeah, they respect me and you.
That's just not what, that's not.
And no. I have seen people practically run from your side too.
Yeah, I had one the other night. I went to the Jefferson County fundraising dinner. They obviously had trouble getting people to go if they call me. You got a ticket. You and Dawn come sit at the table. It's like $250 a ticket. I'm not buying $250 a ticket. So obviously a lot of other people didn't either. Mm-hmm. So, and it was at the Finley Center, which is very hard to hear. It's like a gymnasium, and Tom, what's his name? The congressional whip was there. Very dull speech. Mm-hmm. So, I ate my rubber chicken and my green beans and my mashed potatoes. And I walked around and talked a lot to our politicians, which were all like, yeah, give me a call and come talk to me, That's about all I did.
Well, I got this email that said I had won tickets.
Oh.
I didn't know I entered for anything. And I checked the website just to make sure it wasn't a joke, but I still didn't go. I had stuff to do.
Well, you should have been.
Well, if I'd known you were going, I would have went.
Well, I was not called until 4:30, and it was started at 6. But see, I live real close to the Finley Center, which is at the Hoover Met. So they figured I could get there, quickly. So I went. And I'll go anytime I get to talk to the politicians. I don't care where they are. I'll just go talk to them. And
that's what I like about you. I really do. Okay, Ann, we've got about 1 minute left in this segment.
Okay,
real quick. What do you think is going to happen to the election? Trump going to win or not?
If it stays where it is today, I think that it will be a Reagan runaway. Simply because the American people, her stuff on 60 Minutes was just pitiful. She couldn't string 2 sentences together. If the Democrats don't find a way to disrupt it, I think it'll be a Reagan.
I think it'd be weather-wise.
Yeah.
If something like that does happen.
It'll be a Reagan runaway.
The wrong town. Yeah, well, they should have went to like Anderson, South Carolina instead of there, because mostly, I'm telling you what, Republicans all over the place, patriots are all over Anderson, South Carolina. Liberalville is actually, I'm just telling you, Asheville, North Carolina is known to be Liberalville. I mean, so they actually chose the wrong town to do that in.
Well, they weren't after votes, dear. They were after the mines. So, you gotta, it doesn't matter who lived there. They wanted those mines. And I truly, truly believe that.
I think so too.
Yep.
Ann, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure and always an honor. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Anytime.
Keep us safe in America.
Yes.
Absolutely. We'll see you later. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Definitely appreciate that. I hope you have a wonderful, super rest of the day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.